Most players are terrified of being exploited. What if they adjust to me? What if they know I'm c-betting my range? What if they realize I'm bluffing too much? Cool. Let's test it. I'm gonna give you my exact strategy in 7 spots. Yes, that's right. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I'm doing. Your job, exploit me. If you can, I will personally drive to your house and kiss you on the mouth. If you can't, hint, you probably can't. I'll show you exactly what that means for your game and why you should stop fearing adjustments, start leaning more into aggressive exploits, and make more plays that actually get paid against opponents who have no idea how exposed they actually are. If you're wondering why I'm so confident I won't have to kiss you on the mouth, let's get into it. First hand here, you're gonna open from the cutoff with ace-9 of hearts, and your friendly neighborhood Marc Goone is going to 3-bet you on the button here, and you're gonna call with the suited ace cutoff versus button here, and we are going to go to a flop. And look at that, we flop top pair. We are going to check it over, and here's how this works. I'm gonna tell you my strategy. In this spot, ace-high double Broadway board, 3-bet pot, I am just c-betting all of my hands for a small size. Come exploit me, big boy. So there I go, I bet $50 for just about 1/3 pot. Now it is on you guys with ace-9 of hearts. And in this spot, against my strategy of c-betting my entire range for a small size here in the 3-bet pot, do you want to fold, call, or raise to 150? Take 5 seconds and make your decision. All right, so we're gonna give you 5 total hands in the spot, so 4 more. Now you've got 6-5 of diamonds facing a $50 c-bet here, and remember, I'm betting my entire range. With 6-5 of diamonds, do you want to fold, call, or raise to 150? All right, now you've got pocket 5, same thing. Fold, call, raise to 150. Make your decision. All right, now you've got jacks for middle set. How exciting is that? Fold, call, raise to 150. What's your decision? Finally, last hand here, you're going to have pocket 3s, and against this $50 range bet, are you folding, calling, or raising to 150? Take 5 seconds, make your final decision in this hand, and then I'm gonna show you how to actually exploit me and see how you did. All right, I wanted to give you this exact spot because this is a spot, in my opinion, where most regs, myself included, just blindly c-bet our entire range here, but in equilibrium, this isn't how this spot is supposed to be played. We see your cutoff versus button, 200 big blinds deep. The button here, as the pre-flop 3-better, is supposed to check back about 40% of the time here. But if we adjust and we tell the solver my strategy, say, hey, Marc is c-betting 100% of his range here, and before I give you the answers, you may be saying, hey, well, why are we using a solver? What most people don't understand is a solver is the best exploit player in the world if you tell it how your opponent is playing. Well, in this case, your opponent, me, Marc Goone, well, I put my Marc Goone strategy into the solver and just said, exploit the crap out of me, Marc Goone, and here's what the solver did. I'm not supposed to be c-betting my entire range here because this is a wide versus wide spot. And if you tell the solver I'm c-betting hands like pocket 9s, pocket 8s, pocket 7s, 7-6 of hearts, the adjustment from your spot, the hero here, is to check raise the absolute crap out of me. So look at this, ace-9 of hearts is raising the majority of the time here. Top pair, no kicker on an ace-high board in a 3-bet pot is raising for value. 6-5 of diamonds though, even with 3 to a backdoor straight flush, is just folding here, a pure fold. We see pocket 5s with a backdoor club draw actually raising the majority of the time here. And the reason is, if you raise with pocket 5s, you force me to fold hands like 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, but in this spot, because it is a wide versus wide spot, and I'm not supposed to be c-betting my entire range, I'm actually, against this check raise, I'm supposed to continue with hands like king 10 suited, queen 10 suited, that type of stuff. So you're actually getting better to fold and worse to call when you raise with a hand like pocket 5s with the club here. Pocket jacks, surprisingly, is just majority of the time called here. And we see here a hand like pocket 4s for bottom set is just raised all the time, and ace jack suited for top 2 is just raised all the time. Pocket jacks are kind of the one hand you keep in there as a super strong hand to kind of bluff catch and call down with. And then pocket 3s with a diamond and a club here are actually, once again, majority raised, kind of the same reasons as pocket 5s here. You fold out 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s. You get me to call with hands like king 10 or queen 10 suited. The takeaway here, against somebody who's range betting who's not supposed to be range betting, you are supposed to find a shit ton of check raises, right? You're supposed to be check raising nearly 30% of the time, even as the pre-flop caller on this ace high board. But I would bet nearly everybody in your pool doesn't check raise raise nearly enough in this spot and also overfolds to the small c-bet. So just c-betting small with our entire range, my strategy here is probably going to print against the pool because it's going to be very hard to adjust against. So how are we doing so far? Let's jump into the next one. All right, here we go. 2-5, 1K effective once again. Marc Goone, aka me, is going to open on the button, and you are going to defend in the big blind with ace deuce of clubs. Flop comes ace 8 7, and it checks over to me, and let me tell you my strategy here in this spot. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm doing, and this one is a lot more detailed than the range bet strategy before, so you may want to take some notes. In this spot, I'm going to be playing an overbet or check strategy, so I'm going to kind of have a polarized c-bet strategy, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm betting and exactly what I'm checking, and see if you can exploit me. So I am betting ace king plus for value here, right? If I have top pair, top kicker, betting for value. If I have two pair, if I have a set, all these hands are getting bet for value. If I have the nut flush draw, I am also overbetting here. All of my combo draws, my 7x of hearts, my 9-10 of hearts, 5-6 of hearts, all of these hands I am overbetting. My crappy gut shots with no backdoor, jack-9 offsuit with no heart, or a hand like 6-4 of diamonds, all of my kind of garbage gut shots I am also overbetting here. And then kind of my worst 7x type hands, maybe hands like 7-4 suited, 7-5 suited, 7-6, blocking you having two pair or a set. Those hands are getting bet as well. That is my exact strategy. Let's see if you can do something about it. All right, so here we go. You face a bet of $60 and overbet on the flop into 42, and you have ace deuce of clubs. In this spot, do you fold, call, or check raise to 180? All right, now let's switch it to 4-3 of hearts. So you got a 4 high flush draw here. Same thing, fold, call, or check raise. All right, next hand, you have ace 7 of diamonds for top and bottom pair. Same decision point, do you fold, call, or check raise to 180? All right, now you've got ace 9 of diamonds. So you got top pair with a 9 kicker. Folding, calling, check raising, what are you doing? All right, finally, last hand for you in the spot. You've got queen 8 of spades. You've got middle pair, backdoor flush draw. Are you folding, calling, or check raising 3x? You ready? Ace deuce of clubs here from your spot is a pure fold against my overbet. I'm choosing 150% pot size. And even with all of those gut shots and 7x blockers and my nut flush draws, I just don't have enough bluffs here for this size. I'm too value oriented. So ace deuce of clubs is a pure fold from your spot. 4-3 of hearts, also a pure fold. Why is that? Because when I'm betting, I have all my nut flush draws, all my combo draws, and all my value hands, which just have 4-3 of hearts in a really shitty spot. So 4-3 of hearts is actually a fold to my overbet on this flop. Ace 7 of diamonds here, actually a call. You see here the solver called nearly 80% of the time with ace 7 of diamonds. My guess here is that when you do start raising ace 7 in this spot, the hands that call are going to be either massive combo draws or hands that have you dominated, because when you raise here, I'm just snap folding a hand like ace king. So you're not really getting called by a whole lot of worse hands when you raise ace 7, so ace 7 just a call. Ace 9 of diamonds, also a pure fold here. So top pair with a 9 kicker, just not beating any of my value. And when I choose a big overbet size, well, the bigger the size is, the more bluffs you have to put in your range. And the solver just said, hey, Mark doesn't have enough bluffs here, so we are going to overfold. Finally, queen 8 of spades, same thing, pure fold here with middle pair and a backdoor flush draw. My takeaway here is players don't fold nearly enough. They massively underfold on these ace high boards in single raise pots, even when we choose a big size. The exploit here is to just be more value focused and be more blocker focused, right? Because if they're going to underfold, we just want to be able to choose our very, very strong hands, right? Our ace king plus. If they're just calling too much with ace X, we can just get a ton of value against their ace X. And we want to choose our hands that either have massive equity or our hands that just have strong blocking properties. Because remember, on these ace high boards, our opponents slow play a lot more. So we want hands that are blocking their super strong hands like two pair and sets, because even if our opponents call too much on the flop, that means they're getting to the turn and the river with a range that is too wide and too weak. So looking at this board, if Marc Goone, us from the button here, if we have a hand like 7-6 of diamonds, we just make it way less likely our opponent has a hand like ace-7 or pocket sevens. And since our opponent's calling way too much on the flop with hands like ace-deuce, ace-9, ace-10, stuff like that, they're getting to the turn and river with too wide and too weak of a range. So we're just gonna have much more profitable bluffing opportunities across turns and rivers. All right, next spot here, once again, I open on the button and we're gonna play the same flop here, but this time you flop middle set. But unfortunately for you, this time the flop goes check, check. I'm playing overbet or check. I'm going to bet ace king plus for value, right? All my two pair, all my sets, I'm betting all my nut flush draws, all my combo draws, all my crappy gut shots with no backdoors, and my worst 7x, kind of my blocker hand. So that's what I'm c-betting on this flop. So I'm gonna be doing a lot of checking, and in this spot, I actually check back. We go to a turn, which is the innocuous queen of clubs. With pocket eights, do you come out and bet small, 1/3 pot? Do you come out and bet big for an overbet here? Or do you actually come out and check in this spot? So same spot, we're gonna give you ace-9 of clubs, and once again, do you bet small, bet big, or check? All right, now you've got 5 deuce of hearts here for a 5 high flush draw. Same thing, small bet, big bet, or check. All right, now you've got king-7 of hearts for a combo draw. So you've got bottom pair and the nut flush draw. And in this spot, same decision, small, big, or check. And finally, in this spot, you've got jack-9 offsuit for just a naked gut shot here. And are you coming out and going small, big, or checking? All right, first let's look at pocket eights, and eights here want to check the majority of the time, just going for that big boy check raise, trying to give Marc Goone me rope here on the button and trying to put in that big boy check raise and trying to pile in as much money as possible in a single raise pot where the SPR is high. Ace-9 of clubs actually wants to come out and go small here. The goal with ace-9 to kind of get called by my showdown value hands, hands like pocket 10s, hands like pocket 9s, hands like 8x. So ace-9 actually wants to go small here on this turn. King-7 of hearts, pure check here. You actually have some showdown value against my range. I'm checking back a lot of air on the flop. I'm checking back hands like 6s, 5s, 4s, 3s, deuces, etc. So King-7 of hearts actually has some showdown value here. And if I do end up betting, King-7 of hearts actually ends up check raising here and actually turning into a bluff, trying to fold a bunch of my ace-x or queen-x hands that checked back the flop. So if it goes check, check, King-7 of hearts feels pretty good about getting the showdown. And if I bet, King-7 of hearts turns into a great check raise bluff opportunity to get me to fold my weaker top pair or second pair. You'll see 5 deuce of hearts here actually wants to come out and just bet big. This is a pattern you'll see quite a lot. Kind of the draws with no showdown value just kind of want to come out and maximize that fold equity right now, whereas the King-7 of hearts is actually quite content. If this goes check, check, King-7 of hearts feels really good about trying to get to showdown. King-7 of hearts, if the button, me, Marc Goone, does bet in this spot, feels a lot better about piling in a ton of money as a check raise here with the nut flush draw than 5 deuce does piling in a ton of money as a check raise here with a 5 high flush draw. 5 deuce of hearts just likes to come out and overbet right now, and King-7 of hearts likes to go for that check raise. Finally, jack-9 off here, you see just a majority check. This is just a check fold. This hand just slightly too weak to bluff with because when I check back the flop on the button here, I just have a lot of ace-x, a lot of top pair still. I'm only betting my ace-king plus on the flop. So jack-9 just a give up here on the turn, and if the turn goes check, check, jack-9 can be turned into a bluff, but not coming out and bluffing on this turn. All right, so here's the takeaway for the spot, and this takeaway is a super high leverage concept, and to be honest, usually I save stuff like this for Basecamp. Basecamp is our 5-day intensive program where we completely rebuild your game from the ground up, pre-flop, in position, out of position, and it's all based on 50,000 hours of real data. Now, I just want to be very, very clear, Basecamp is only for players who are taking poker seriously, playing playing 20 plus hours a month and tracking all of their results diligently. If that sounds like you may be a fit. You will get 5 days of interactive coaching, and then after that, 2 full months of support to make sure everything sticks. And look, a lot of players eventually figured this stuff out by trial and error. I have no doubt you could too, but Basecamp just helps get you there a whole hell of a lot faster. Okay, enough teasing. So what is the takeaway here in this spot? The overall takeaway here, it's kind of a hard strategy to play after the flop goes check, check, trying to decide what hands are we gonna go small, what hands are we gonna go large, and what hands are we gonna go for a check call and then a check raise. We're trying to split our hands into maybe 4 different categories here. And what I've seen from the player pool when the flop goes check, check on these ace high boards, they don't protect their small size. They put too many of their weak and medium hands in the small size, not enough good hands. And when they go for a check, they just don't protect their checking range enough. They get a little bit too greedy with hands like pocket eights or 8-7 or ace queen, and they just come out and bet for a big size here. Another reason why this overbet or check strategy works so nicely, it is very, very hard for players to exploit you, because I just told you guys exactly what I'm going to do, and be honest, how well did you exploit me? And in game, I'm not gonna be this generous. I'm not going to tell my opponents exactly what I'm doing, and I'm going to be adjusting to the mistakes I see them making. So the overall point I'm starting to hint at here, if you're already going to be struggling against a strategy where I'm telling you exactly what I'm doing, in game, people aren't going to be exploiting you. All right, next one here, Marc Goone, aka me, is going to open on the button once again. You are going to defend in the big blind with king 3 of spades. Flop comes jack 9 deuce. And on this flop, I'm gonna tell you once again, I am just range betting. I'm c-betting all of my hands here for a $20 size. You are going to call because in this spot, we are going to play the turn. So the turn is a 4 of spades. And in this spot, you check it over once again. I go $30, another small size on this turn. And here is my exact strategy. I am betting my top pair, top kicker plus with no spade. So hands like ace jack of hearts or ace jack offsuit with no spade. I'm betting all of these hands. I'm betting all of my 2 pair plus or better. So jack 9 suited, pocket 9s, pocket deuces. I'm betting all of my flushes here in this spot. So every single flush is choosing the size. And then I am betting all of my air that is king high or worse. So I'm checking back with all my showdown value here. I'm checking back with a lot of my weaker top pair that's not top pair, top kicker. I'm checking back with all my under pairs, checking back with all my ace highs. But everything that is king high or worse in this spot, I am betting along with all of those value hands that I named before. You ready to exploit me? All right, so with king 3 of spades, are you folding, calling, or check raising to $104 hairs? All right, now you've got king 10 off with the king of spades here. Same thing, folding, calling, or check raising. All right, next you've got ace jack offsuit with no spade. Folding, calling, check raising. What are you doing? Pocket 8s with a spade is now your hand. Same decision points. Are you folding, calling, or check raising with pocket 8s with a spade? Finally, you've got pocket 3s with no spade in this spot. Folding, calling, or check raising, take a couple of seconds. Make your decision. All right, so king 3 of spades first. You see here just a pure call. Hint, hint, this is going to be a pattern. Against this small size, just no raises with the king high flush. King 10 with the king of spades, same thing, just a pure call in this spot. Ace jack off, no spade, pure calling. Pocket 8s with a spade, what do you know? Pure calling here. And finally, pocket 3s, no spade, pure calling in this spot. You see, because I'm range betting on the flop and I'm not supposed to be betting my range, and because I'm putting all of my air into this small size on the turn, I'm just barreling this turn for the small size too much. So your response to this small bet is supposed to be just doing a shit ton of calling. But my takeaways here, what's actually going to be valuable? The player pool, as I'm going to guess you did in this spot, just check raises their good hands at too high of a frequency. They raise their strong shit. And when we double barrel on the turn, they just tend to start over folding right now. Hands like pocket 3s, this hand's actually supposed to be called, which is very, very unintuitive. So they just start check raising their good stuff too much. They start over folding right now, which means for my spot here, our bluffs are going to absolutely print against the pool because they make such egregious mistakes. So be honest, I told you guys how I was playing this spot. How'd you do? Okay, so these last 3 examples are all going to be river spots, and if I told you my exact strategy on the river, it would be too damn easy. So instead, you're just going to have to guess, and then I'll show you how these 3 spots just prove the same point that no one can exploit. All right, so Marc Goone, aka me, is going to open on the button once again. You are going to defend in the big blind with 7-4 of clubs. Flop comes 8-6-3, and in this spot, you face a small c-bet. You are going to call. Turns a 4, giving you third pair and a gut shot to go along with it. You face a big bet here on this turn, and once again, you are going to call. Don't complain about the call. You're just playing exactly how the solver would play so far, so everything you're doing is perfect. You're just gonna have to make a decision on the river. All right, so river is a 4, giving you trips. You check to me in this spot, and look at this, I jam for 2.5x pot on this river, and now let's make some decisions. So before you make your decisions on this river, just assume in this spot I am playing equilibrium. I'm not playing the Marc Goone hungry horse strategy you see on YouTube where I'm running these big. No, I am playing GTO at equilibrium. I am very, very balanced in this spot. I'm playing exactly as the solver would do. Assume that for all of these hands. So with 7-4 of clubs, are you folding, calling, or taking your pants off and rolling around on the table? Make your decision. 8-7 of hearts here. Now, once again, facing a 2.5 size overbet jam on this river. Are you folding, calling, or taking your pants off? What about 8-5 of diamonds? So top pair here, slightly worse kicker. King-6 of clubs here, facing a 2.5x pot size overbet big boy jam on the river. What are you doing? Finally, 7-6 of clubs for second pair, weak kicker. Are you folding, calling, or taking your pants off and rolling around and gleefully shouting? All right, 7-4 of clubs. This one was a layup. This one was easy. Of course, this is a call here with trips on the river. 8-7 of hearts for just top pair here. You see mostly calling, 54%. And if we look at 8-7 of diamonds as well, calling even more. So top pair here is just calling this 2.5x pot size jam a lot of the time here. And remember, this is against an equilibrium strategy. I am not over bluffing in this spot. I am playing exactly equilibrium. 8-5 of diamonds for top pair, no kicker. Just pure call. Once again, King-6 of clubs, second pair, king kicker, pure call. Pure call versus a 2.5x pot size jam. Finally, 7-6 of clubs, once again, a pure call in this spot. And my big takeaway from this spot is when our opponents get to the river in a wide versus wide spot where they're going to have a weak range in general, they're probably going to be over folding because in equilibrium, they're supposed to call with some very weak hands like top pair, no kicker. Second pair, a lot of the time in this spot, they're supposed to call with hands that are very, very uncomfortable to a 2.5x pot size jam. So in this spot, because I think our opponents, aka you guys, are probably over folding, this is one of those spots in wide versus wide configurations where I would recommend over bluffing because our opponents are going to have a hard time calling enough in this particular spot. All right, next one here, we open pocket fives. We get 3-bet by the handy dandy Marc Goone, and we are going to call. We go to a flop, 7-6-4, we check it over. And once again, in this hand, Marc Goone, me, is going to be playing equilibrium, right? He is not going to be deviating. He's not going to be running any type of crazy strategy. He's just playing balanced in the spot. So keep that in mind. All right, so we face a small c-bet here. So with an open and straight draw, third pair, we are going to call. We go to a turn and we face a pot size bet here on this turn. We're going to call again. Finally, river is a deuce. We check it over and look at this. We face an overbet jam here for 700 into 607 on this river. So first of all, what do we do with pocket fives facing this jam? Do we fold, call, or once again, take off our pants? How about pocket eights? Same thing. Fold, call, or pants off party. Now pocket nines, one pip better here. We got pocket nines. Are we folding, calling, or going pantsless? Pocket tens. Finally, we've got pocket jacks here. Are we folding, calling, or ripping the old pantaloons off of our legs? All right, pocket fives. First of all, we see this one is a pure fold. Makes a lot of sense. Early versus early, 3-bet pot, triple barrel. Pocket fives just gets folded. Pocket eights, also a pure fold. Supposed to be folding an overpair on this board. Pocket nines, now getting closer, but we still see here a majority fold in this spot with nines. Pocket tens without a diamond, actually a pure fold in this spot. We see tens with a diamond is sometimes called, but tens without a diamond is a pure fold. And if you're wondering why this one is a pure fold, well, we see pocket nines without a diamond just didn't get to the river. That hand was actually folded on the turn. In jacks here, jack of spade, jack of clubs without a diamond, we see this hand is actually majority folded in this spot as well. And remember, I was playing pure equilibrium in this spot. I wasn't under bluffing, I wasn't over bluffing. No, I was playing the perfect frequencies in the spot. So what is the big picture takeaway? This is a tight configuration, whereas the last hand was a wide configuration. And in a tight configuration, players are actually supposed to fold very, very strong hands because they just get to the river in a tight configuration with only strong hands. So if they're not folding some of their strong hands, that means they are massively overcalling. So this spot on this river from Marc Goone's spot, if you imagine just for 1 second, you are Marc Goone. Wow. This is a spot where I would actually be massively under bluffing for the all-in size, and I would just go much more thinly for value because I believe in this spot, our opponents are calling too much. As opposed to this spot in the wide versus wide configuration, I just think our opponents are folding too much. Remember, in a wide versus wide config, they have to call with weak hands. In a tight versus tight config, they have to fold strong hands. Which situation do you feel better about making your opponent fold? Well, the wide versus wide configuration. They're not gonna call with second pair to a 2.5x pot size jam. In the tight versus tight configuration, they're supposed to be folding over pairs. If they're not folding over pairs, probably not a spot we should be bluffing. If they are folding second pair and are folding top pair, probably a spot we should be bluffing all the time. So we see here, it's not about just over bluffing all the time or under bluffing all the time. It's about adjusting for the configuration, finding the spots where our opponents are going to overfold and just dialing up our bluff frequency, finding the spots where our opponents are going to overcall and just dialing up our value frequency, going more and more thin for value and turning down our bluff frequency. It is all about adjusting. All right, last hand we are going to play here, and queen jack of spades we are going to open. Marc Goone 3-bets us. Of course, we are going to call. Flop comes ace jack 4. We face a small c-bet, and once again, in this spot, my strategy is Marc Goone here on the button. I'm just going to be c-betting my range here again on the flop, but after the flop, I'm playing completely equilibrium. So across the turn and the river, I'm playing equilibrium, but I am deviating and range betting here on the flop. So we are going to check call. Turn is a 5. We face a double barrel. We're going to call once again. Now the river's an ace pairing the board, and on this river, we face a very small bet, a 1/3 pot size bet on this river. So with queen jack of spades here, do we fold, call, or check raise jam all in? All right, now we've got queen jack of hearts in this spot, so just a different suit. Same situation, fold, call, or raise all in. Finally, we've got jack 9 of spades, and same options. Are we folding, calling, or jamming? All right, we see queen jack of spades here, a pure jam. Queen jack of spades is supposed to be check raise jammed on this river. And same thing with queen jack of hearts here, check raise jammed. This is supposed to be our primary bluffing candidate because by check raise jamming here with queen jack, we just get to ensure that Marc Goone, the player on the button, doesn't just get to always value bet thinly on the river. We actually, in equilibrium, get folds from hands like ace 10 suited or ace 9 suited for weak trips here on this river when we check raise jam. Jack 9 of spades here though, this hand just supposed to be folded pure. What are the takeaways here? Well, when we bet small, when we choose this 1/3 pot size bet here on the river from the Marc Goone spot, the player pool is just making a ton of mistakes. Number one, they're just calling too much. I imagine most players here are calling the jack 9 of spades. They're calling the jack 10. They're just calling too much when we give them this price on the river when top pair pairs. Number two, they're just not finding check raise bluffs like queen jack of spades, queen jack of hearts, so they're not punishing us. So actually, we're just allowed to go much, much thinner than equilibrium on this river for value. We're not going to get check raise bluffed enough, and our opponent just isn't going to fold enough. So a really, really good spot to just go small for value very, very thinly on this river against the bull. All right, same hand, but we're gonna play a different turn in river. So we open, we get 3-bet, we call. We are going to check call on the flop. Once again, Marc Goone, me, I'm going to be range betting on the button in this spot, but pure equilibrium across the turn in the river. So we are going to check call. Now the turn is a king of clubs. Jacobs bringing in a front door flush. We face a big bet here again on the turn for 2/3 pot. We are going to call. River now a 10, bringing in a one-liner to a straight. We check it over, and we face a small bet once again on this river. So with ace-8 of hearts, are we folding, calling, or check raise jamming? And finally, with queen 10 of diamonds for a straight on this river, are we folding, calling, or check raise jamming on this 3 to a flush board? So we see ace-8 of hearts here. It's actually supposed to be mostly called to the small size on the river when there's a one-liner to a straight and a flush out there in a 3-bet pot. Actually surprising to me. Ace-8 of hearts is mostly a call. Queen 10 of diamonds here. The straight is actually supposed to be check raise jammed thinly for value on this river. My takeaway here, players are probably not check raising thinly enough. I don't think they find the queen 10 check raise jam on this river when there is a flush out there. And they're just probably over folding. I would fold the ace-8 of hearts to a small bet on this river. They're probably over folding in this spot. Therefore, probably a really, really good spot from Marc Goone's spot, me, from the button here, to just go small with a lot of our bluffs on this river because we're getting a really nice cheap price to fold out hands like ace-8 or ace-5 suited, which are probably over folding relative to what they're supposed to do. Here's the point. If watching this video made you realize you can't exploit quite as well as you thought, that's exactly the gap we close inside Basecamp. Basecamp is 5 days of interactive coaching, all in small groups, and we've built all of these strategies off of 50,000 hours of real data. And you don't just get the 5 days of interactive coaching, you also get 2 months of support after that to make sure all of these strategies and this new way of thinking about poker sticks. And it is all designed for serious players who want to win more, and they want to do that by actually exploiting the player pool they are playing against. If that sounds like a fit, hopefully we will see you soon in Basecamp. All right, guys, so let me know how you did in the comments below, and hopefully I don't have to personally drive to anybody's house and kiss them on the mouth. Thank you guys, and have a gentle day.